The divorce papers hit the hospital table with a slap that echoed through the pediatric ward. Zara Bennett looked up from her daughter's bedside, 5-year-old Amara, hooked to an IV, her small chest rising and falling with labored breaths, and stared at the man she'd loved for 8 years. "Sign them," Kendrick said, his voice cold, detached. "My lawyer says if you cooperate, I'll cover 3 more months of Amara's treatment. After that, you're on your own. But let me take you back 6 months, because Kendrick had no idea that the woman he was discarding like yesterday's trash had just changed their lives forever." Zara had always been brilliant. The kind of brilliant that made professors at MIT pause mid-lecture. She'd built her career quietly, steadily, working 80-hour weeks at Novatech Solutions while Kendrick climbed the corporate ladder at his father's real estate firm. She handled their finances, raised their daughter, and poured every spare moment into a project nobody knew about: a revolutionary propulsion system for commercial spacecraft. Maybe if you focused on a real job instead of those ridiculous sketches, we wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck. What he didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Zara had just submitted her prototype to the Department of Defense Advanced Technologies Division 3 weeks earlier. The same day Amara was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder requiring treatments that cost $40,000 monthly. The same day Kendrick stopped coming home. "Mrs. Bennett?" The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while Zara was mixing Amara's medication. "This is Director Chen from DoD Advanced Tech. We need you in Washington tomorrow. Your propulsion system, it's not just innovative, it's going to change everything. We're prepared to offer a development contract, $50 billion over 10 years. Zara's hands trembled. $50 billion. She dropped the phone. But when she tried to tell Kendrick that night, he wasn't home. He was with her, Sienna Blackwell, daughter of the Blackwell Hotel empire, old money, Finn's smile, and a diamond on her finger that cost more than their mortgage. "I'm leaving you," Kendrick announced 2 weeks later, his suitcase already packed. "Sienna understands ambition. She understands success. You've always been just barely enough, Zara." "Kendrick, I need to tell you something." "I don't care." He was already at the door. "My lawyer will contact you." "And Zara, Amara's treatment, that's your problem now. I'm starting fresh." She watched him leave, watched the taillights disappear down their suburban street. And for the first time in 8 years, Zara smiled. Because tomorrow she was signing the contract, and Kendrick had just walked away from the biggest fortune of his life. If you can't stand people who abandon their sick children for money, type karma in the comments. Because what Kendrick didn't know was about to destroy him. The contract signing should have been Zara's moment of triumph. Wall Street Journal reporters, defense officials, champagne and crystal glasses. But as she lifted her pen, her phone buzzed. Amara's doctor. Emergency. Zara ran, literally ran, from the boardroom in her heels, the contract half signed, and made it to the hospital in 14 minutes. Amara had crashed. Her little body was rejecting the standard treatment protocol. There's an experimental program in Switzerland, Dr. Torres said quietly. 90% success rate, but it costs $2 million up front, and insurance won't cover experimental care. Zara looked at her daughter's face, so small, so fragile. Book it. Book it today. Mrs. Bennett, with all respect, your insurance has a $50,000 limit. I have the money. I'll wire it within the hour. That afternoon, while Zara was arranging Amara's medical transport, Kendrick was posting engagement photos with Sienna on social media. Finally found someone who matches my ambition, the caption read. Zara didn't see it. She was too busy saving their daughter's life alone. 3 weeks later, Amara was in Switzerland, responding miraculously to treatment, and Zara's contract was finalized. Except now, the press had caught wind. Mystery engineer wins largest defense contract in U.S. history, the headline screamed. Novatech's Zara Bennett revolutionizes space travel. Her face was everywhere. Forbes, Time, CNBC. That's when Kendrick's lawyer called. Mrs. Bennett, my client would like to renegotiate the divorce terms. Zara laughed. Actually laughed into the phone. Tell Kendrick he had his chance to be part of this family. He chose differently. But here's what Zara didn't know yet. Kendrick had been planning to leave her for 18 months, long before Amara got sick, long before the contract. His affair with Sienna started the day after Zara's first prototype failed, when he thought she'd never amount to anything. He'd been draining their joint savings account for months, funneling money to Sienna, preparing his exit. The medical debt he couldn't afford to help with, he'd spent that exact amount on Sienna's engagement ring. The revelation came from an unexpected source. Kendrick's father, Harrison. The old man showed up at Zara's new penthouse office because, yes, she'd moved, upgraded, transformed her entire life while Kendrick was posting vacation photos from Sienna's beach house. I need to show you something, Harrison said, sliding a folder across her desk. I hired a private investigator when Kendrick asked me to invest in his new venture with Sienna. I thought you should know the truth. Bank statements, text messages, photos. Kendrick had been systematically stealing from their family accounts while Amara was getting sicker. He'd convinced Sienna to invest in a startup using Sienna's family money while planning to divorce Zara and claim half of any future assets she acquired. He knew about your DOD submission, Harrison said quietly. He saw the preliminary letter 3 months ago. That's why he rushed the divorce. He was trying to file before the contract was finalized so he could claim marital rights to your earnings. Zara's blood ran cold, then hot, then ice cold again. Why are you telling me this? Harrison met her eyes. Because you saved my granddaughter when my son abandoned her, and because I'm the majority shareholder in Kendrick's company. As of today, he's fired. If you believe loyalty matters more than money, hit that subscribe button. People like Kendrick won't. And what Zara does next, you need to see this. 2 months later, Kendrick's world was collapsing. Sienna had discovered his plan to divorce her once he recovered Zara's money, because Kendrick never learned loyalty, only strategy. Sienna's family lawyers eviscerated him. His father's company fired him. And the startup he'd bragged about, built on stolen algorithms from Zara's early research that he'd photographed from her home office. He showed up at Zara's office building on a Thursday. Security stopped him at the lobby. "I need to see my wife," he insisted. "Ex-wife," the guard corrected. "And she's in a meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff." But Zara, watching on the security feed from her office 70 floors above, made a decision. Send him up. When Kendrick walked into her office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, her name on the wall in gold letters, blueprints for Mars colonization spread across a table that cost more than his car, he stopped breathing. "Zara, you have 3 minutes." She didn't look up from her tablet. "I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I was scared. I was stupid. You abandoned your daughter when she was dying." Zara's voice was quiet, lethal. "You stole from your family. You tried to con a woman into funding your exit strategy. And you know what the saddest part is, Kendrick?" She finally looked at him. "I was going to tell you about the contract. That night you packed your bags, I was going to share everything. Build a life together. Save Amara together. But you were already gone." Kendrick's eyes filled with tears, real tears, for the first time she'd seen in years. "What can I do? How can I fix this?" Zara stood, walked to the window. "You can't. But there is something you should know." She turned, and her expression was unreadable. "Amara's treatment worked. She's been in remission for 6 weeks. The doctors in Switzerland say she's going to live a completely normal life. And yesterday, she asked me when Daddy was coming to visit." Kendrick's face crumbled. "I can see her?" "No." Zara's voice was firm, final. "Because here's what you don't understand. The moment you walked out of that hospital room, you stopped being her father. Harrison, your dad, has been there every single week, flying to Switzerland, reading her stories, holding her hand through treatments. He's her family now." She pressed the button on her desk. Security appeared. "But I'm giving you one gift. The same gift you gave me." She slid an envelope across the desk. "Harrison is buying out your shares in his company for exactly $1, and I've purchased them. You're officially working for me now. In the mailroom, starting Monday, $35,000 a year. You wanted to see what real ambition looks like? Now you'll watch it every single day." But then, the door opened, and Amara walked in, holding Harrison's hand, her braids bouncing, her smile bright and healthy and alive. "Grandpa said we could surprise you at work, Mommy." Then she saw Kendrick. Her smile faded. "Who's that man?" Zara knelt down, eye level with her daughter. "Nobody important, baby. Just someone Mommy used to know." Kendrick never took the job. He left the building and never came back. Last anyone heard, he was working sales at a car dealership in Nevada, still trying to rebuild credit, still trying to explain to dates why his ex-wife is on magazine covers. Sienna married a congressman and never spoke his name again. Comment real power if you're Team Zara. Greed never wins. Now, watch how this ends. 5 years later, Zara stood in mission control, watching the first commercial spacecraft powered by her propulsion system break Earth's atmosphere. Amara, now 10, healthy, brilliant, already talking about engineering school, stood beside her, wearing a junior flight suit. "Mom," Amara whispered, "is that really going to Mars?" "Yes, baby. And someday, you're going to design the one that goes even further." Harrison stood on Amara's other side, his hand on his granddaughter's shoulder. "Your mother changed the world, Amara. Remember that. Not because she wanted revenge, but because she never stopped believing in herself when everyone else did." Zara smiled. The spacecraft was a speck now, a shooting star heading toward the cosmos. She thought about that night in the hospital, the divorce papers, the cold voice, the moment her life shattered. And she realized that wasn't when her life ended. That was when it finally began.